what happened with this little one, Carolyna. I was away at a couple of festivals. I was gone about a week, and I was returning home and from the south over the New England Highway, coming up to Brisbane, and I had my camper trailer hopping away behind me, and I'm driving along, and I was so excited because I had a date with my wife. Now, she was coming from the east, from Brisbane, and so I'm going to the Bunya Mountains, actually. So we're heading to the Bunyas, and we're going to rendezvous there on top of the Bunya Mountains. And we said, we've got these things, these devices. I'll ring you, or we'll call each other, we'll be in communication as we go up the mountains, but of course forgetting that you're going to lose all connectivity up there. So the device was as useless as a sod of turf, And so we're climbing away, I am, and so it's lost all connection with her. And it was just coming on dark now, and way up the top of the mountains, and she's looking for me and I'm looking for her. Finally, we spotted each other's the lights of the cars, and we found each other, and it was a beautiful moonlit night. And there wasn't another soul up there. It was like we were all alone. We were like the first two people in the world, and we forgot we were old. It was so lovely. And I don't think we saw another soul for the 3 nights that we were packed. It was just so magical. And it inspired this little poem, and I'll share it with you. If I could live 3 lives and love 3 beautiful wives for, let's say, a century or 2, do you know what? I'd trade them all for 3 moonlit nights on the Bunya Mountains with you, my dream on the Bunya Mountains with you. And if I could win 3 wishes with a lucky roll of dice, I'd spend them good in that Bunya wood. I'd kiss you once, twice, and thrice, my dream. Once, twice, and thrice. And if I had just 3 words left to talk before my talking was all true, I'd waste them not on poems or prayers. I'd simply say, I love you, my dream. I'd tell you that I love you. John Lennon said, we live in a crazy world where we hide our lovemaking and we practice war in public. Wasn't he so spot on? We glorify the thing, but we hide away love and we don't express it. Well, I express it because I love you. And I love you, who's ever might get to watch this. That I wrote for my wife. Now, let me tell you the story. Some of you have heard it before. I'd never written anything for my wife, and I'd written something for the Smoko girl and for this one and that one and for everyone. Never had written anything for my darling wife. And it was starting to become a bit of an elephant in the room, if you like. And, he's written something for the Smoko girl, but anyhow. But what happened was she was away in Darwin visiting the kids, and I was at home alone, and I thought, I'm going to have a crack at writing a poem for Ricky. And so I was there Saturday afternoon, right away. I was going great. And then I thought I'll stop and I'll have a cup of tea. And I stuck on the kettle and I flicked on the telly to see if there was any crack on. And there was Professor Brian Cox, do you know the man? Yes. Amazing man. And he had a story about atoms and how small atoms are. I never went to school, so this was all novelty for me, Anyway, so I was just riveted to it, to this lecture, the science lecture. And so I watched it all through to the end, and then I got back to my poem. And what we ended up with was a love poem with a big splash of a science lecture in the middle of it, if you can take that. My love, my precious love, half girl, and I think half dream. If I died and came back as a strawberry, would you come back as cream? And the master lights the candle, and the maid brings in the tea, and Madame pours the pitcher, and you flow all over me. And you soak into my blushing being, and I drown then, I suppose, with the dream that I'd return again, the stamen in your rose. Emblaze your wonders on my soul with texture, tone, and tint, and the drowsy bee will agree with me. You've stoned us with your scent. And when you're holy, pure, and good, I'll be every prayer upon your lips. But when you're bad, and when you sin, like bad girls should, I'll be God's own perfume on your fingertips.
I'll be the blonde in your Aryan hair. I'll be the ebony flare in your African skin. I'll be the joke that cracks your kookaburras before dawn. But when you're sad, I'll be the teardrop in your gin. I'll be the willow twig in your eagle's nest, soft, woven garland round your breast. And when your soaring days are done, you'll pick me from all the rest and fly me nigh the sun. But I'll fain return a one last kiss. Oh, that dreamy leg-buckling kiss, you know. The kind of kiss that'd make a bishop kick a hole in a stained glass window. My love, perhaps it's not an impossible dream that in some shape or form we once have been, and we will be again. They say these old bodies of ours are made up entirely of recycled atoms, recycled again and again since the beginning of time. And they're in the ground, you see, and they get sucked up to the roots of the plant. They become the plant. And a beast comes along and eats that plant. And now the little atom has gone on to be the flesh and the blood and the bones of that beast. But the integrity of the little atom remains. It is still unchanged, the same little atom. And so, therefore, it's not inconceivable that there are atoms in you and me tonight that were once a tree, or a flower, or a bird, or perhaps 100 million years ago on a dinosaur roaming around West Queensland somewhere, or 13.8 billion years ago in a meteorite, hurtling across our brand new heavens, creating galaxies, stars and planets, not knowing how many lives they're going to inhabit or perform, and then one night, one beautiful Thursday night, they rock up in Mullaney, comprising you and me. How exciting is it? Exciting is it? So therefore, perhaps it's not an impossible dream after all, that we once have been, and we will be again and again. Perhaps it's not such a wild notion pulled from the heavens above. My love, my precious love, half girl, and I still think half dream. So if I die and come back as a strawberry, I pray that you'll come back as cream. Thank you.
As long as you can make people laugh or inspire them or touch them in some way or make them love more or love themselves more, be loved more and be prepared to give love more, actually that's a wonderful privilege. That's a great thing to be a part of. To see it in their eyes and to hear it in their laughter. And you come home and you're as high as a kite because in some way you've touched something really special. And you've told people as well, and this is very important in Australia especially with men. I love it when men get my stories. I mean, it's natural for women because, you know, we're gender opposites and it's natural with a love story. But when men get it and they say to themselves, and you can see it in their faces, that it's okay to demonstrate and to express love and affection. It's okay. It's like you give them permission to appreciate this love story. If you can set people free with your stories or with your singing, your art, free to love, there's a fantastic reward in that. How blessed are we to be living in this amazing place. And aren't we lucky? We're totally blessed indeed. Yeah. I hate the cold with a passion. Would you blame me? And as soon as I got big enough to travel and I heard about this land of gold, this land of sunshine and warmth and the beautiful sandy beaches and the lovely girls and the lovely tans, and as soon as I got big enough to travel, I said, I'm off to Australia. See you all later. I will never be cold again. You can have it. And so I landed in Australia, and it was July, way back in the 70s. And it was a particularly cold July in Sydney. And I got a job straight away driving trucks and backhoes and things. And the foreman said to me, Joe, come with me, hop in. I was dressed like this. He said, hop in. He said, we're going out to Orange. You'll have to drive a lorry back that the boys left out there after a job they did. And they shouldn't have left it out there. Come with me. And I said, where's Orange? You'll see. And I hopped in and we'd drive out over the beautiful blue mountains, lovely winter's evening, lovely warm car, and down to the town of Orange. And with the lights of the car, drive your own. There she is, he said, an old bull-nosed Dodge truck. Dodge, all right. And we drove over to it, and on closer inspection of the lorry, there was no windscreen in the lorry, and I have to drive it back now at night time over the Blue Mountains. It was only an old goat track in those days. They've got grand big freeways now. But back in those days, slow old roads and this weak old lorry with no windscreen, me dressed like this. I had come here for the sunshine, remember. I started it, and it started, which was worse luck for me. And he said, "You'll be right, so." And he drove away. Oh, thanks very much. I drove away up the mountain, and when I got to the town of Blackheath, a lot of people know where Blackheath is now, right up the top of the Blue Mountains. It was already snowing up there. And I'm driving along through the snow, and it's just pouring in the windscreen at me. I'd come for the sunshine, like, huh? Where are the girls with the lovely tans? Oh. So I did. I wrote a little poem to sort of preserve the story in some sort of form. I was ploughing fields in Ireland, and I stopped one day to read the magazine Australia, and I felt a burning need, a need for sandy beaches, Tui's beer and Reese's. "Come to the sun," it proudly said, and before I had it read, I was surfing with the Sheilas in my head. Mid-July in Orange, and the foreman says to me, "Joe, you'll have to drive that old lorry there to Sydney by the sea. They need it for the morning. Go now, make no delay. Sure, there's only the Blue Mountains standing in your way." So I drove her up the mountain. I was young and I was keen, but I had ne'er a jumper, and the lorry, no windscreen. Upward, ever upward, upward through the night, and when I reached the summit, Blackheath was turning white. White powder snow came drifting into my limousine, drifting in the windscreen, or where the windscreen should have been. I was shivering and shaking. I thought, I'll surely croak. "Come to the sun." My sorry backside. It must have been all a joke. Just before the Gympie muster, they said, "Would you go to the high school in Gympie with 2 other poets?" So the man that was running it said, "No, whatever you choose to do, you'll have a 15-minute spot." The place, I never knew that there was so many kids of that age around that region. There were like 15, 16, 17. A sea of them in this huge venue. Anyway, we were told the only thing that kids are going to get is humour. If you don't do humour, you're going to lose them straight away. It has to be funny. And I don't know. The other 2 men did wonderful, funny bush poems and stories, and the kids were all laughing. And so I went up and I thought, I'm just going to be myself. It was Oscar Wilde who once said, "Just be yourself. All the other spots are taken." I went up and I did a very serious poem about anti-war poem. It's a huge poem. I didn't write it. But I had performed it at Woodford one time at the fire event, 25,000 people, and they built a huge box. It was like a Pandora's box. Anyway, it's a long story. It's a brilliant poem written by Kendrew Lascelles. And I did this poem for them, and it's a powerful poem about anti-war. And the kids, all of the nudging and the crack all stopped, and you could see them, all the boys and girls, on the edge of their seat, just glued to the seriousness, to the worth, to the importance of this poem. When it was finished, I could see how much they appreciated the poem. I just had the most blessed time with them. And I came home to my wife and I said, "I know now what I want to do with my future, with the rest of it. I want to go to the schools and I want to touch the future." Love or anything else worthwhile for granted. Appreciate, appreciate, appreciate.
copped a bellyache from the other crew. Cost was shocking.